Welcome back for more videos on the Chapter 3 review. And we're going to start with number 4. This video will probably contain questions 4 through 6. So 4 says, determine the degree coefficients and the leading coefficient of the polynomial. So the degree is always the highest exponent, so that would be 6. And the leading coefficient is always the coefficient on the leading term. And so the highest exponent is 6, so that makes this the leading term, and so 4 is the leading coefficient. And then we have 4 is the coefficient on 4x to the 6th, and -3 is the coefficient on a -3x squared, and 2 is the coefficient on 2x. Coefficient, co means with, so it's the number that goes with the variables. Number 5 says, determine the real zero and their multiplicities. Also find the x-intercepts and determine whether the graph of P crosses or touches the x-axis at each intercept. So remember that zeros are similar or almost the same as the x-intercepts. The only difference is the x-intercept is just the actual coordinate point. So let's find the zeros by setting 3x times x plus 4 squared equal to 0. So to find an x-intercept or zeros, we're finding factors. So those are factors. These are being multiplied, so we can think of them as factors. So we set that equal to 0, and we divide by 3, and we find out that x equal to 0 is a 0. So let's make a list. So we have a 0, and then the x-intercept that goes with that is 0, 0. And it only happens once because the exponent on the x is a 1, so its multiplicity is 1. And so that means it crosses at the x-axis or cuts. I'll say kind of cuts through or crosses. And then we're going to, this other factor, x plus 4 is a 0. We're going to set that equal to 0. And we get x equal to -4. So that's one of our zeros. And so that x-intercept is a -4, 0. See how they're the same thing? It's just the x-intercept is written as a coordinate point. And its exponent on that factor of x plus 4 is 2. So that means its multiplicity is 2. And because that is even, it touches at that point. Okay. And because 3 is our leading coefficient, we can draw, there is one of our x-intercepts, here is one of our x-intercepts, and because that's positive, and we have an odd, we have x1, 2, 3, it's 3, so it's going to end, and 3 is positive, it's going to end facing up, so it's going to come up, and it's going to touch here, it's going to go down and do something, and then it's going to end facing up. Pretty cool how you can tell all that from those pieces. Okay, number 6. We have a polynomial. It says find each of the following and then graph the function. Okay, so I'm just going to start here. So x and y intercepts. So the y-intercept is 0 for x. And when I put 0 in for x, these all go to 0. So my y-intercept is at 0, 0. And then my x-intercepts, I can factor out an x squared. And then I'm left with x squared plus 3x minus 4, it looks like. And so that's going to be a 0 at x equals 0. And it's even, so it's going to touch. So is multiplicity of 2. And so it's going to be a touch at that one. And then this looks like it can factor into x plus 4, x minus 1. They multiply to make a -4 and add to make 3. So I have a 0 at a -4 and a 0 at 1. So I have a 0 at 1 and a 0 at a -4. Or -4, 0, and 1, 0. And those each have a factor of 1. They each happen once, so the multiplicity is 1. So they cross. And then it says the end behavior. So our degree is 4, which is greater than 0. So that it's going to end both facing up even. So they both face up. And the leading coefficient is a 1. And so A is 1, which is greater than 0. So it's face up. And the 4 tells us that they are together. And these cut, and this is a touch. So it looks like it comes down and does something, we don't know what, comes up and touches, goes down and goes up because it only touches here. The interval on which is positive and negative. So let's do negative. So we'd have to look at this on the graph, but there's going to be a negative here and a negative here. And then this will be an increasing between here and here and between here and here. We'd have to find those minimums on the graph to tell us that. So catch me back for another review video.